So welcome today at another NL Talk. My name is Anke Kuipers. I'm the Director of Ecosystem Services and the organizer of the Pavilion and the program at the Pavilion. And today we have again two really interesting exhibitors sharing their story with us and sharing their inspiration with us. We have Boudewijn from Moesdijk, domain expert at BroadForward. And we have Remco Magielse, head of product at CM. Both are exhibitors here and both will be presenting here. And we start with the private network evolution and challenges by Boudewijn van de Moesdijk. I'll give you the words.
Thank you, Anke. Thank you. So I wanted to talk about private networks, private mobile networks. Every one of us knows about public mobile networks where our phones are connected to. But next to public mobile networks, there are also private mobile networks, and they're growing rapidly, actually. So I wanted to say a few things about that. Private mobile networks are specifically tailored for the enterprises that they service. These enterprises have, in most cases, very specific requirements around service level agreements, support, security, requirements about latencies, and those requirements can often not be met by the public mobile networks. And that's why these enterprises are looking into their own networks, the private networks, to support their production processes or management processes or quality processes. And therefore, these private mobile networks exist. Some of the examples are given on the right side here for military networks, but also oil and gas support, solar farms, green energy, smart city, and logistics and support. And nowadays, we all know automotives. Basically, every new car that you buy today is connected to a mobile network, and that's one of those private networks in many cases. In the past, these private networks were leveraged off of a mobile network, and that means that the IMSIs, the identifications on the SIM cards that were used, were owned by the MNO, and that made these private networks tied to the MNO where they were leveraging their services from. And today we see that more and more these private networks are using their own IMSI ranges, which gives them more flexibility to switch if they want to another mobile network if they're not, if their devices are not accessible in the home private network. So when they're out of the premises of the enterprise, for example, or when a car is not in the country where it's bought, for example, then it's roaming in another network. And so these roaming services are becoming more and more important. And in order for these roaming services to work, these operators, they tend to have specific challenges that they need to work with and that they need to overcome to get all of these functionalities working, even if these subscribers or these devices are roaming outside of the home, the private mobile network. So that makes them almost entirely complete independent networks that are running, and they need to have all of the components that a mobile operator network also has. So these private mobile networks are looking more and more into the space, into the vendor space of what the MNOs are also looking at to compose their own networks so that they can provide all the services that an MNO network does, but including all of the stringent requirements that they have on those private networks. And some of what you see here, the 2G, 3G, 4G and 5G networks that we have today are also used in the 5G space. As a matter of fact, 75% of the private networks are on 4G, but they still use 2G, 3G, and they're moving into 5G, which means that they need all of the components that are necessary to compose such a network in their networks. And that's why they're looking into innovative solutions to be able to support all of these different technologies for their devices and in the future to go to 5G or 6G without having to install legacy and old platforms in their data centers. So they're looking at software-based solutions which they can run on the same type of hardware and as they use for the newer networks, the 4G and 5G networks that are running in the cloud, for example. While the older networks, they were running on hardware-specific components, hardware-specific systems. That's not interesting for them to continue that journey, so they're looking at software-based components. And that's exactly where BroadForward is getting in. So we deliver such components that can do and that can compose these networks, these routing networks for 2G, 3G, and 4G. And we do that for routing, security, interworking. And for 2G, 3G, and 4G, we can deliver those systems.
Okay, thank you. That sounds very interesting. And you also were nominees for this.
That's
this
correct.
Year.
That is
So
correct. Yes.
that will be announced tomorrow whether you will win this.
Yeah.
And that's what makes your solution special, right?
Yes. The specialty is that we can do everything on one single platform. For the legacy, the older systems, as well as for the newer systems, the 5G technologies. And we use the same software platform for all these technologies. So once you're familiar with that software platform, you can basically service all of these different technologies on our platform.
Okay, very interesting. And for the people who don't know really about private networks, because I recently hear more and more about private networks. Yeah. Is this something that is becoming like a trend, or what are like the benefits for companies to decide to have a private network at all? Yeah, so there are a few key components or key items that define for an enterprise to choose and to go to a private network. One of which is the quality of service that they need to have. For example, very short latency periods, which cannot be provided by an MNO network, or very high and stringent SLA, service level agreements. If there is an outage or there is something wrong, then in most cases, in less than minutes or in minutes, they want to have these systems up and running again. You can imagine that if you use such a private network to do all sorts of production, to manage all sorts of production processes, that if such a production process stops, that may have very severe consequences, and therefore they need to have very short latencies or short return around times for SLA, but also on security, to keep the data in their own network rather than to share that onto an MNO network. Sounds very interesting, and I can definitely imagine that for many companies this is super valuable, especially with the new trends in 5G and 6G and automated vehicles and harbors and all such places. Exactly. Yeah, those are the enterprises. Yes. And you had your first day at the pavilion. How was it? Like, are you finding the right people here, or whom are you interested meeting? Yeah, so we're meeting both with MNOs, but also IPX players that connect all these MNOs over the world together. And as a new upcoming division, basically, is private networks. We see that more and more private networks want to have their own network rather than to service that on top of a public mobile network. And in order to do that, they have to, like I explained, they have to look at vendors that can provide them the components to build that private mobile network for them. And we're one of them. So they tend to find us now. Thank you very much. I'd like to keep you here a little bit longer. So of course. Maybe at the end I will ask you both some questions. But we're now move forward, and I'm just going to speak to your name of the presentation, because it was really interesting as well. Because your name of the presentation is Remco, Magielse for the people. Applause for Boudewijn. Thank you. So we move to the next one. Remco Magielse, Head of Product at CM, for the people who just started to join here. And you will talk about Let's Talk Human, conventional technologies for a better future. Yeah. That sounds really engaging, so I'm really curious what you will talk about. So the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and to share this story with all of you. So I want to talk a bit about being conversational as a company, and what that means and how you can design a system as such. And for the people that do not know what that actually means, I'll start at the beginning. So if you look at people and if you look at humans, then we have an innate drive to actually communicate and connect with each other. And I think you see that when you look around here, that these type of events are meant to connect to each other. And actually it's proven in psychological literature that this is actually a fundamental human drive. And we have the same innate need to connect to businesses in the same way. And you also see that in the way that we used to do business. So when you wanted to book a travel appointment, or you would go into a travel agency, connect with people, they would understand where you want to go, what you were looking for. But over time, technology has evolved and technology has become mediating. So there was technology in between the interaction between you and the business. And what is happening now is that customers are losing track of this connection to the business. They don't know where to start. There's a lot of entry points, there's a lot of technology, and people simply get lost in that. So, and if you look at that, if you reflect on that, you can actually see that the processes that we have in place now, they're built for the business, to optimize the business. They're not built to actually have a human relationship and to directly engage with the business. Well, and to prove that, actually, there have been done surveys, and one of the interesting things is that 41% of people would rather scrub a toilet for 30 minutes than wait on the phone to reach customer support. So I think that actually shows that getting in touch with a company is very difficult these days, and it's not how we want to do that. If you then ask, how would you actually like to communicate with a company, we see that by far the majority of people would like to communicate with companies in the same way that they also communicate amongst each other, through messaging apps, through phone calls, etc. Well, of course, now with AI entering the game, we have all the technology there to actually service people again in a natural way at a human level. So you would say the next era is now. Well, actually, is it? I'm not sure if people have read this article. There was an AI-generated bot that was providing and helping a passenger on an Air Canada flight, but it made up policies. Now the judge has ruled that actually the policy that the AI bot invented has to be accredited to this customer. And I think this is also an example of a AI bot, the DPD case that started to do give questionable answers and actually talk down the entire company. And I think, again, this is centered on the business, not on the human. So how would you actually do that? If you look at what customers want to do with companies, they want to chat and engage. They want to reach out to get help on maybe a product that they're looking to purchase. On the other hand, we also see businesses, they want to actually sell and convert. They want to get people in, tell about their products, and actually directly transact in those channels. And these use cases are very suitable to do in business messaging applications. What that means as a business is that you need to scale that up. So you need to offer these personalized experiences tailored towards the individual at a large scale. So the question that we have and that we can help to answer is, how do you do that? So if you were to design a system that does that, then for us it all starts with a customer data platform. You need to understand who you are talking to. So we have a customer data platform that collects information about all the interactions that people have. Just like the service rep in the beginning knows who you are, what type of holiday you want to book, they can help you answer and give you a personalized recommendation. Around that, you can do automated systems. So you can do natural language processing to understand what people are actually asking. You can do large language models to respond in a natural way. But you can also do things that help to keep information secure. So you can also do privacy redaction. If you share personal information across the chat, it might only be used by the service rep and removed afterwards so that it's not stored in that customer data platform. It's the second layer. The third layer, we also understand that companies, they interact with multiple systems. So we have tools to import and export data to actually feed that customer profile and understand how all the relations work that you have with that company. Then, of course, there are all the communication layers around it. we always recommend customers to go for a broad spectrum of communication channels, because you want to be where your customers are also reaching out to you. If that's on WhatsApp, you should integrate WhatsApp. It's voice, then integrate voice. But make sure that people can find you and can access you. And then finally, we have a layer of software solutions which are tailored to the actual problem that you're trying to solve. If you're trying to do marketing, you can use all these tools to actually set up optimal marketing campaigns. If you're doing service, then we have the interfaces to help you get in touch with your customers. I think this is a very short video that shows how you can actually do it. So you can train these models that we have. You simply tell them how you want them to behave. There are ways for you to integrate your resources that you already have. So all the web information, all the documents that you have about the company, you can integrate those. It learns from that, so it's tailored towards your company, but it also learns from the interactions that you have. So if you have service agents, if you have people that actually talk to your customers, it learns from that and reiterates. And in that way, you can use AI to actually support the agents that you have or the people that work for your company. I'm going to skip a few slides. Yeah. So I think as an example, this is where we see the collaboration between artificial intelligence and humans worked very well. So there was a short-lived campaign in the Netherlands for a vaccination round, where the problem was actually it's very short, so it's very difficult to find people to reach out and to answer the phone. So what we've done is that we've automated through voice interaction a lot of the repetitive tasks, like scheduling appointments, rebooking appointments, canceling appointments, where you don't need to speak to someone on the phone. You could simply speak to a bot and then handle the conversations in that way. And this meant that we could actually service up to 1,500 agents at the same time to shave off the peak load that you would normally have and offer people actually a direct connection, or they could directly get their meetings booked instead of waiting in a queue to speak to an agent. And I think for me, the message that I hope that you will take home, it's an evolution, it's not a revolution, so this is simply the next step. If you're looking to start, then I have lovely colleagues over there that will help you understand how this works.
Okay, thank you. Sounds very interesting. So if I understand correctly, you kind of have like a trained AI bots who can help you in doing support or sales, and that's
Yes.
like the unique selling point or the unique value that you offer versus the other existing AI solutions or
Yeah, so I think we're unique in the fact that we can train it based on the data that you already have. So if you have a website, there's a lot of information on your website that we can automatically scroll.
but also the
capture.
live I
But also the
understand.
live chat,
So
yeah.
If you have people talking on the phone in real life,
Yes.
then you can analyze that and you can train your bot with that data and make it similar to, let's say, the support you want to facilitate
Yes,
through
exactly.
the people.
So we see with a lot of companies that they have a wealth of data. So it's either written or it's in the heads of people. And we have ways to capture that and to reuse that for other customer interactions as well. And what's the big benefit that it gives to our customers is that it reduces the time to market. So you don't have to do a large integration project. You can start actually tomorrow, and it will learn and get better as you move forward.
And what are your biggest challenges as a company at the moment?
I think one of the
Just,
challenges is that
I always find that an interesting question because
well, the AI landscape is evolving very rapidly, so it's there are new challenges there every day. I think one of the large challenges in the AI space is to get the accuracy level up. As you've seen with Air Canada and DPD, it's you don't want to end up in a situation where the automated responses give you gibberish.
And is that also because since it's really dependent on the training, you're really dependent also on the right people to give the proper support, and also the training then stops once you have the automated bots, or will it still continue to learn also in that process, or how?
Yeah, so it does continue to learn as you feed it more information and as you give more answers to customers. So what you might have seen in the video is that the AI gives a suggestion, but you can also tell it to make it more formal or make it shorter or emphasize this aspect, which you can then feed back to the actual person that asked the question. So it's more AI supported than fully AI driven.
No, it's interesting. I think it's like AI is like a little child. You have to kind of educate it in order to,
Exactly that,
to
yeah.
make it help you with what you want it to do. So, and that seems challenging enough. And also, considering the examples you showed, you have to tame also the AI apparently.
Yeah.
Sometimes that it doesn't go fully its own way. So, interesting space to work in, I think.
Absolutely.
And whom are you looking to meet, or are you already meeting because you're also exhibiting here?
Yeah, so I think we're always looking to hear interesting cases from potential customers where they are struggling. For me personally, we're also trying to meet with our partners, so with Meta, Google, where we also have the channel interaction, of course.
Okay. And but it's really you're more in the consumer space, if I understand correctly, versus BroadForward is more in the business space.
Like so we're B2B, but our customers have direct interactions with end customers.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
interesting. Correct. So and well, for both of you to finish off. So what are your experience of the first day? Like,
You want to take it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. This experience of the first day is we had a lot of meetings that we can plan and that we can hold here in the pavilion. We can nicely make use of the meeting rooms, which help us a lot to do meetings in quietness, or at least relative quietness here on the booth. So yeah, that's definitely a plus for us that we can do here.
For me, I think the overall experience is that we're at a great position. Actually, there's a lot of traffic, so we have a lot of interactions here. Overall, it's interesting to see that the AI aspect is coming back. So I've seen the Microsoft booth, which was very interesting, where they do also the design. So I hope that in the next few days we have some interesting talks also about customers that have experience with actually building AI solutions.
Yeah, cool. No, sounds very interesting. Well, I want a big applause for you as speakers. Thank you very much. Applause.